Good evening. Welcome to Health Second Opinion. Dr. Chad here with you. Excited about another week of getting to bring you some truth and some principles so that you can maximize your life potential. And, as you can see, the title of this is A Tale of Two Pandemics, the New Year, New You. And the fact is that it's that time of year where we're all considering the things that were good and the things that were bad, and how are we going to make a difference in our lives. And so, how many of us, though? It's been amazing in the last 20 years. The stats for New Year's resolutions has just continually gone down. And it's actually now only about 30% of people are actually making New Year's resolutions. But of those people making them, 20% are here to get exercise this year. They're in there, another 20% are going to use diet to lose weight. 15% say they want to save money. Eat healthier in general is 12% of New Year's resolutions. And something that has to do with self-care is something about 6%. And man, we have to face it. If we're going to be a new you, then health impact aspects of our lives. And that's one of the reasons it's in the top 4 of the 5. And this tale of the pandemics, I think we all can understand what that first pandemic has been. But, if we're going to deal with the second one that has greatly impacted the first, we've got to understand why we're having some of the worst outcomes of any industrialized country in the world. And part of it is to do with the fact that less than 10% of people keep their New Year's resolution all year. As a matter of fact, one of the ways that we're going to support you is to have a makeover. It's going to be the Metabolism Makeover. We're doing it on February 1st, 6:30 here at the office. And really, by that point in time, it's approximately 46% of people have abandoned their new resolutions. And so if you're by that time, February 1st, in that 44%, or you're in the 46% that have abandoned it, either way, you're going to need some fire, some energy, some knowledge, some motivation. So it's one of those things that we position at a perfect time in the year. So it's February 1st, 6:30, and right there's the information of what you can do to reach out to the office to save your seat. And we only got 50 seats. So one of the biggest things is that your accountability partner, whoever that's going to be, excuse me, they're going to want to be in attendance with you so that you're following the same things and you're getting the same motivation. And so have them text to save their seat also. And so one of the biggest things that we have to do, if we're going to really, again, what are we going to do to position you to be part of that 10% that does make it to the goals? And the New Year's resolutions are really centered in this fire to create the person you want to be. And so many are just, I guess, gosh, even now more 2020 through 2022, so many people are just gasping for hope and inspiration. And they're looking even more so than ever to actually become that person, because so much has been missing in life. And, one of the biggest things that we have to do to bridge that gap is to understand the lies that have kept us from being able to manifest the lives that we want, the health that we want. And again, why we have the worst healthcare statistics of any industrialized country, and yet we spend more money per capita, per person, in other words, on healthcare, but yet get the worst results. And it's the perception of health here in America, is the fact that symptom treatment is equated with healthcare. And literally that mentality, and I'm going to back this up with the research that's going to be in exercise the things that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. And so one of the biggest things that's just killing millions of Americans, millions of people around the world, is the perception that health is what you have when you're symptom free, or that even worse so is that if you're managing your health with drugs, with prescription drugs, and you're treating a disease, and let's say it's blood pressure and cholesterol. And so you're taking blood pressure and cholesterol medications, and then your blood pressure and your cholesterol is good. you have this perception, many people, maybe not you, but many people have this perception that then they are still healthy. So they go on with the things that create worsening of health because they have this perception that they've dealt with it. And then it's killing them. And literally these decisions, our perceptions design and make our habits and our choices that determine our life outcomes. And so really, when we're living in this scenario, this lie, it sets people up to then have anything that comes along, whether it's a virus, whether it's a bacteria, whether it's a traumatic event, a really stressful period of time, something that to cause their health to overflow into a disease state. They just have less room, less gas in the tank to be able to fight. And so one of the biggest things is that we have to be able to understand that when our bodies are overrun with inflammation and our bodies have all these underlying metabolic syndromes and we have all of these things going on, it's just less likely to survive when challenged. And that this is going to be part of the key. This is, again, we're illuminating the first pandemic that, or the second that is allowed the first one to be so bad. And the fact is there's 7.75 billion people here on the earth. And 80% of them practice Western medicine, the pharmaceutical approach to healthcare. That's 6.2 billion people who are living a lie. That you can literally pharmaceutical your way out of a problem that you lifestyled your way into. It's impossible. And the fact is that the second pandemic is a sedentary lifestyle. That sedentary lifestyle has just really set people up, and it's just allowed people to fall into this cascade that is just really setting them up for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, decreased lung function, and all of the things that we see that cancer, all of these things that are the other killers. We lose at least 600,000 people, or right at it, to both heart disease and cancer. And so these things in the sedentary lifestyle, that the isolation and the things that may or may not have to have been, everybody form your own opinion, that these things are what have gotten worse. And we're going to talk about the studies here in a few minutes that illuminate this coming from around the world. And so one of the biggest things is that, again, Albert Einstein said that you cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it. And so if we're going to fix our outside in healthcare model, we've got to have a new model. We've got to replace it with something. And that's the best perfected way has been through Max Living chiropractors implementing the 5 essentials for people around the country. Instead of treating disease, we want to improve health. And then we want expression of life. This is a vitalistic approach. This vitalistic approach is what is allowing people to, again, build health instead of treat disease. And so it's about, what is the 5 essentials? So many of you are very familiar with them, especially if you've been following the show or other Max Living offices around the country. One of the biggest things is that the 5 essentials is a well-rounded approach of looking at minimizing the interference to the body's regeneration and expression of life. So, when you look at it, this concept, it's not new. It's been around forever. And there's millions of different offices around the country that are providing one of the essentials, or maybe 2 of them. Because the essentials are your mindset, that health paradigm that helps you shape your choices. It's core chiropractic. Then there's nutrition, there's exercise, and then there's detoxification. And when we look at this approach, the reason it's so unique and the reason that it's just absolutely essential for someone to have Max Living chiropractor on their team is because it's unified through this chiropractic, this core chiropractic. And the reason why is that such a unique thing is that the central nervous system is what controls and coordinates and regulates every other system. cardiovascular system, the hormonal system, the digestive system, the urinary tract system, all these other systems are being governed and synchronized for the mutual benefit, the survival potential of the individual. And so when it is compromised with misalignments of the spine called subluxations, then these subluxations literally choke off that connection. It's like right now, I can see from the screen that off and on, there is some connection problems possibly going on with this, creating some blurs in the speed in which you're able to hear this. And it's just that way, unfortunate right now, but a great example of what happens when the connection is slightly altered. The information is still there. It's just not perceivable, not necessarily in its best form. Therefore, we can't get 100% of the understanding. This is the same thing that happens when people are subluxated. So one of the biggest things that we need to do is really level up people's thinking. So one of the biggest things that we can do is get you and your entire family to a Max Living Chiropractic office. You know, one of the biggest things that we can do is try to surround ourselves with the right support team and have this concept, this mindset of continually addressing the cause of a problem and removing that cause to allow the body to regenerate itself at a higher level, thus improving our survival potential. And so let's say you live in the tri-state area, the Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama area, this little corner of the world. Well, then right there, text NP to that number, and we'll get you signed up for your new patient appointment for you and your entire family. Mention the show. You get your consultations for free, where we can literally look at your paperwork and go through and talk about things to decide if we can accept you as a new patient, so that we can make sure that this office is a right fit for you. And so, and then we can determine what we need to do. Do you need the exam? Do you need x-rays? And then put together this idea that a corrective care chiropractic office addressing your nervous system issues and moving things towards 100% spinal alignment to allow 100% connection of the life force generated here flowing above, down, inside, out to every organ and tissue, while we are working through nutrition, while we're helping you dial in your exercise, minimize your toxicity, and maximize your mindset. And so what's some of the things that are backing up this? Nutrition. Let's talk about COVID-19 and incentive to tackle sugar in hospitals and at home. This is from the Journal of the American Endocrine Society, and it was released June of 2021, Volume 5, Issue 6. And so this is the abstract. Obesity and metabolic disease are thwarting our efforts to recover from COVID-19. Chronic inflammation is a key feature of both COVID-19 and metabolic syndrome. Sugar consumption in particular has been shown to affect COVID-19 more by contributing to chronic inflammatory state. Restriction of free sugar intake has a measurable effect on disease predicting physiology parameters in as little as 9 days. So changing your sugar intake in 9 days can make a difference in the level of inflammation in your body and therefore improve your chances. So the rapid reduction in inflammation following fructose restriction is key in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, as the 19 pandemic exacerbates the same inflammatory pathways as those driven by the metabolic syndrome. This is from the article. Healthcare providers have a duty to implement international recommendations of reduced free sugar intake. By doing so, they could reduce the chronic inflammatory burden contributing to the COVID-19 patient's demise. Further, it would reducing the risk of severe disease in the unaffected by maximizing their potential metabolic health in the context of an infection predicated on its disruption. I mean, wow, unbelievable research. Some estimates from the US government surveys say that the average American consumes 152 pounds of sugar and 133 pounds of flour, which convert into sugar within 5 seconds of being in your mouth, every single year. Why is this mind-blowing? Number one, you might be hearing it for the first time here. How destructive is that? Why hasn't this been just a absolute, pardon me while I get these to go down. All right. So the nutrition that and this gives you some estimates. All right. So the nutrition study shows that it takes about 75 grams of sugar to weaken the immune system, lowering the blood sugar, the white blood cell activity by around 50%. And of course, it's going to be different in people. Now, here's the big concept though for me, and it does it so for 5 hours. So now you've got a 5-hour reduction, around 50%. And this research is done, the average American weighs 180 pounds. So what about our 4-year-olds who only weigh 50? What if you were to give them a Pop-Tart and OJ for breakfast and send them off to school and say, go be your best? Okay, Pop-Tart, 36 grams of carbs. The OJ, 29 grams. That's 64 grams right there in maybe a 50-pound kid. The research is 180. So is that going to suppress their immune system by 3 or 4 times? Is it going to last 3 or 4 times as long? The idea is that we don't know, and it's individualistic for every single person. And so fructose restriction, especially high fructose corn syrup, so much in our drinks and things like that, this is the major destroyer of immune systems right now. And so, again, this research, and you can find this on WebMD. You can find it on PubMed, which is where I was finding these things. And so that's nutrition. And then when you're in a Max Living office, we're talking about plant-based replacements of things and helping people get to a real understanding. Do you need the advanced plan? Do you need the core plan? What do we need to do to upregulate not just your immune system, but your life through proper nutrition for you? So then let's move to exercise. Again, the tale of 2 pandemics being the pandemic that's been going on and getting worse, worsened by this, is this sedentary lifestyle. And it's that lifestyle that has exacerbated all these other things and therefore allowed our bodies to become more susceptible, having worse outcomes. So this is exercise. This is again from WebMD/Lung News. And exercise lowers the risk of severe COVID-19, studies show. Compared with so what they did was they looked at people who exercised regularly, recommended 150 minutes of moderate exercise every single week. So it's 30 minutes, 5 days a week. That's it. And they compared those to people who only exercise 10 minutes or less a week. And so when they looked at that, compared with the most active people in the study, those who exercised 150 minutes or more, patients with COVID-19, they're comparing COVID-19 cases, that consistently inactive, meaning 10 minutes or less, were 226% more likely to be hospitalized. They were 173% more likely to be admitted to the intensive care unit and 149% more likely to die. Wow. You know, I watch football, and I've watched a good bit lately, and I hadn't seen any commercials on this, and I hadn't seen any public announcements, and those are the percentages. This next study comes to you from the British Biobank study, included 387,109 adults in the United Kingdom. So we're looking at Scotland with a 92% vaccination rate, ages 12 and over. Wales and England both ranged right at 90%. Northern Ireland. So this is, again, 387,109 adults. Researchers looked at their physical activity as a strong predicator of less severe complications of COVID-19. So this is over and above outside, with those kind of vaccination rates. We know the study, the large majority, 90+%, are vaccinated that are in the study. And what they looked at was the physical activity. The potential for regular physical activity to lower COVID-19 illness severity should be promoted by the medical and public health agencies. People are moving even less now. Arania, one of the study authors, the big concern is, but due to the pandemic, this is going to become a new normal. And as a matter of fact, this is the research, the tale of two pandemics, the first part of my title. From this research, the global inactivity and sedentary behavior trends, the magnitude of risk for all outcomes associated with being consistently inactive exceed the odds of smoking and virtually all other chronic diseases studied in this analysis. The researchers added, that was like their added caption. This finding could indicate that physical inactivity may play a crucial role as a risk factor for severe COVID-19 outcomes. And that is, again, nearly 400,000 people, to which 90+% would have been vaccinated. So over and above it, we're looking at things outside of that. We have got to start looking at the reality on both sides, and what is really creating the potential bad storm. And so this, again, PubMed, sleep and the immune system, looking at the better sleep you have, the more naive T cell production. And we're looking at the number of the peaks that happen, although it is difficult to entirely dissect influence of sleep that comes from the circadian rhythm. They're looking at how the 24-hour periods of wakefulness facilitates an extra amount of the T cells and things going down. Moreover, such studies revealed a selectivity of enhancing influence of sleep on the cytokines, promoting the interaction between the antigen presenting cells, the T cell helper cells, and interleukin 12, meaning that even, and this is one of the things I'll put out there, is they're saying that the uptake after vaccinations, it's really important for people who are to get a really great night's sleep. If you're going to do the vaccine, then it's even more important that you have a really great night's sleep that night, because that's when your cells are going to be gobbling that stuff up and trying to take it back to these other cells to produce the antibodies and get that production happening. And so that's something that, again, why aren't we talking more about? And again, that's keywords: sleep, circadian, immune, cytokines, neuroimmunology, and it's from PubMed. So those are the things that you would type in. And so when we look at these things, it's about creating our own ability to influence our body's ability to have a better cumulative survival potential. It cannot be done better than in a Max Living Chiropractic office, because we're looking at the exercise and for you, the nutrition for you, the chiropractic that unifies that immune system and enhancement with all these other systems that happen through coordination of a properly functioning nervous system, connecting the brain to the body so that this life force is flowing better at all times, creating this synergistic health that just can't be done in any other type of office. Again, you can go get nutrition hundreds of places. You can get the exercise. You can get detoxification. You could go for counseling and have better mindset, but it's never put under one roof like we've done. So one of the biggest things, if you're in that tri-state area right there, that's how you get your new patient appointment. You can also sign up for that Metabolism Workshop. It's February 1st at 6:30 right here at the office here in Trenton, Georgia. And you would just text Metabo to that number. And again, we'll save you a seat, send you something to remind you the day before, and make sure that your accountability partner signs up too. And we want to look at the concepts that what we are here to do is not treat symptoms, not to treat COVID, not to treat anything. It's about removing interference to the expression of life, and how we can, when we do that, our bodies naturally are designed to heal and survive. And when they are overcome by lifestyle, the pro-inflammatory and metabolic processes are already at their peaks, and it takes very little. One drop could cause it to overflow if the cup is already full. And then we're seeing the current challenges that we're seeing today. And so I pray that this is information that you can follow and that you can pass on, share this with your friends and family that are looking to do something regardless of what they're doing or have done to try to protect themselves. And yes, all the supplements, they're great. We think about nutrition and supplementation, but remember, your body is taking that vitamin C, the vitamin D, the zinc, and all these other things that we're doing. And it's what utilizes them to enhance the immune system. It's not those things, it's the body's utilization of those things. And when we are deficient in those, then our bodies cannot have the proper immune system with survival capability. But it is all unbelievably unified in this ability to have a corrective chiropractic care office helping get that nervous system, controlling all the other systems. And so I hope that you and your family can utilize this information. If you're not in the tri-state area, go to maxliving.com. Near me, and they'll get you directed so that you can, again, level up your thinking this year and create the new you that you want and that you've always wanted to be, and then set your family up to do the same. I hope to see you next time here on Health, a Second Opinion.